Act 1 of The Life and Death of Tom Thumb the Great by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. H. Scriblerus Secundus, his preface. The town hath seldom been more divided in its opinion than concerning the merit of the following scenes. While some publicly affirmed that no author could produce so fine a piece but Mr. P., others have, with as much vehemence, insisted that no one could write anything so bad but Mr. F. Nor can we wonder at this dissension about its merit, when the learned world have not unanimously decided even the very nature of this tragedy. For though most of the universities of Europe have honoured it with the name of Egregium et Maximi Pretiae Opus Tragedionis tam Antiquis, quam novus longe antiponemdum, nay, Mr. B. hath pronounced Citius Maviae Enidum, quam Squibleri, istius tragedium, hanc crediderum, cuius autorem senicam ipsum tradisse haud dubitarum. And the great Professor Burnham hath styled Tom Thumb heroem omnicum tragicorum facile principem. Nay, though it hath among other languages been translated into Dutch, and celebrated with great applause at Amsterdam, where the burlesque never came, by the title of Mynheer Vanderthum, the burgomasters receiving it with that reverent and silent attention which becometh an audience at a deep tragedy. Notwithstanding all this, there have not been wanting some who have represented these scenes in a ludicrous light, and Mr. D. hath been heard to say with some concern that he wondered a tragical and Christian nation would permit a representation on its theatre so visibly designed to ridicule and extirpate everything that is great and solemn among us. This learned critic and his followers were led into so great an error by that surreptitious and piratical copy which stole last year into the world, with what injustice and prejudice to our author will be acknowledged, I hope, by every one who can happily peruse this genuine and original copy. Nor can I help remarking, to the great praise of our author, that, however imperfect the former was, even that faint resemblance of the true Tom Thumb contained sufficient beauties to give it a run of upwards of 40 nights to the politest audiences. But notwithstanding that applause which it received from all the best judges, it was as severely censured by some few bad ones, and, I believe, rather maliciously than ignorantly reported to have been intended a burlesque on the loftiest parts of tragedy, and designed to banish what we generally call fine things from the stage. Now, if I can set my country right in an affair of this importance, I shall lightly esteem any labour which it may cost. And this I the rather undertake, first, as it is indeed in some measure incumbent upon me to vindicate myself from that surreptitious copy before mentioned, published by some ill-meaning people under my name; and secondly, as knowing myself more capable of doing justice to our author than any other man, as I have given myself more pains to arrive at a thorough understanding of this little piece, having for 10 years together read nothing else, in which time, I think, I may modestly presume, with the help of my English dictionary, to comprehend all the meanings of every word in it. But should any error of my pen awaken Clarice Bentleyham to enlighten the world with his annotations on our author, I shall not think that the least reward or happiness arising to me from these my endeavours. I shall waive at present what hath caused such feuds in the learned world, whether this piece was originally written by Shakespeare, though certainly that, were it true, must add a considerable share to its merit, especially with such who are so generous to buy and commend what they never read, from an implicit faith in the author only, a faith which our age abounds in as much as it can be called deficient in any other. Let it suffice that the Tragedy of Tragedies, or the Life and Death of Tom Thumb, was written in the reign of Queen Elizabeth. Nor can the objection made by Mr. D, that the tragedy must then have been antecedent to the history, have any weight, when we consider that though the history of Tom Thumb, printed by and for Edward M.R. at the Looking-Glass on London Bridge, be of later date, still must we suppose this history to have been transcribed from some other, unless we suppose the writer thereof to be inspired, a gift very faintly contended for by the writers of our age. As to this history's not bearing the stamp of second, third, or fourth edition, I see but little in that objection, editions being very uncertain lights to judge books by, and perhaps Mr. M.R. may have joined 20 editions in one, as Mr. C.L. hath ere now divided one into 20. Nor doth the other argument, drawn from the little care our author hath taken to keep up to the letter of this history, carry any greater force. Are there not instances of plays wherein the history is so perverted that we can know the heroes whom they celebrate by no marks other than their names? Nay, do we not find the same character placed by different poets in such different lights that we can discover not the least sameness or even likeness in the features? The Sophonisba of Murray and of Lee is a tender, passionate, amorous mistress of Massinissa. Corneille and Mr. Thompson give her no other passion but the love of her country, and make her as cool in her affection to Massinissa as to Syphax. In the latter two, she resembles the character of Queen Elizabeth. In the former, she is a picture of Mary Queen of Scotland. In short, the one Sophonisba is as different from the other as the Brutus of Voltaire is from the Marius Junior of Otway, or as the Minerva is from the Venus of the ancients. Let us now proceed to a regular examination of the tragedy before us, which I shall treat separately of the fable, the moral, the characters, the sentiments, and the diction. And first of the fable, which I take to be the most simple imaginable, and to use the words of an eminent author, one regular and uniform, not charged with a multiplicity of incidents, yet affording several revolutions of fortune by which the passions may be excited, varied, and driven to their full tumult of emotion. Nor is the action of this tragedy less great than uniform. The spring of all is the love of Tom Thumb for Huncamunca, which caused the quarrel between their majesties in the first act, the passion of Lord Grizzle in the second, the rebellion, fall of Lord Grizzle and Glumdalca, devouring of Tom Thumb by the cow, and that bloody catastrophe in the third. Nor is the moral of this excellent tragedy less noble than the fable. It teaches these two instructive lessons, viz., that human happiness is exceeding transient, and that death is the certain end of all men, the former whereof is inculcated by the fatal end of Tom Thumb, the latter by that of all the other personages. The characters are, I think, sufficiently described in the Dramatis Personae, and I believe we shall find few plays where greater care is taken to maintain them throughout, and to preserve in every speech that characteristical mark which distinguishes them from each other. "But," says Mr. D., "how well doth the character of Tom Thumb, whom we must call the hero of this tragedy, if it hath any hero, agree with the precepts of Aristotle, who defineth tragedy to be the imitation of a short but perfect action, containing a just greatness in itself, etc. What greatness can be in a fellow whom history relateth to have been no higher than a span? This gentleman seemeth to think, with Sergeant Kite, that the greatness of a man's soul is in proportion to that of his body, the contrary of which is affirmed by our English physiognomical writers. Besides, if I understand Aristotle right, he speaketh only of the greatness of the action, and not of the person. As for the sentiments and the diction, which now only remain to be spoken to, I thought I could afford them no stronger justification than by producing parallel passages out of the best of our English writers. Whether this sameness of thought and expression which I have quoted from them proceedeth from an agreement in their way of thinking, or whether they have borrowed from our author, I leave the reader to determine. I shall adventure to affirm this of the sentiments of our author, that they are generally the most familiar which I have ever met with, and at the same time delivered with the highest dignity of phrase, which brings me to speak of his diction. Here I shall only beg one postulatum, viz., that the greatest perfection of the language of a tragedy is that it is not to be understood, which granted, as I think it must be, it will necessarily follow that the only way to avoid this is by being too high or too low for the understanding, which will comprehend everything within its reach. These two extremities of style Mr. Dryden illustrates by the familiar images of two inns, which I shall term the aerial and the subterrestrial. Horace goes further, and showeth when it is proper to call at one of these inns, and when at the other. Telefert et Pelleus, cum pauper et exul utique, projicit ampullas, et sesquipedalia verba. That he has approveth of the sesquipedalia verba is plain, for, had not Telephus and Pelleus used this sort of diction in prosperity, they could not have dropped it in adversity. The aerial inn, therefore, says Horace, is proper only to be frequented by princes and other great men in the highest affluence of fortune. The subterrestrial is appointed for the entertainment of the poorer sort of people only, whom Horace advises dolere simoni pedestri. The true meaning of both which citations is that bombast is the proper language for joy, and doggerel for grief, the latter of which is literally implied in the sermo pedestris, as the former is in the sesquipedalia verba. Cicero recommendeth the former of these. Quid est tam furiosum vel tragicum quam verborum sonitus inanis, nulla subjecta sententia neque seantia. What can be so proper for tragedy as a set of big-sounding words, so contrived together as to convey no meaning, which I shall one day or other prove to be the sublime of Longinus. Ovid declareth absolutely for the latter in omne genus scriptae gravitate tragedia vincit. Tragedy has, of all writings, the greatest share in the bathos, which is the profound of Scriblerus. I shall not presume to determine which of these two styles be the properer for tragedy. It sufficeth that our author excelleth in both. He is very rarely within sight through the whole play, either rising higher than the eye of your understanding can soar, or sinking lower than it careth to stoop. But here it may perhaps be observed that I have given more frequent instances of authors who have imitated him in the sublime than in the contrary. To which I answer, first, bombast being properly a redundancy of genius, instances of this nature occur in poets whose names do more honour to our author than the writers in the doggerel, which proceeds from a cool, calm, weighty way of thinking, instances whereof are most frequently to be found in authors of a lower class. Secondly, that the works of such authors are difficultly found at all. Thirdly, that it is a very hard task to read them in order to extract these flowers from them. And lastly, it is very difficult to transplant them at all, they being like some flowers of a very nice nature, which will flourish in no soil but their own. For it is easy to transcribe a thought, but not the want of one. The Earl of Essex, for instance, is a little garden of choice rarities, whence you can scarce transplant one line so as to preserve its original beauty. This must account to the reader for his missing the names of several of his acquaintance, which he hath certainly found here, had I ever read their works, for which, if I have not a just esteem, I can at least say with Cicero, quae non contemno, quipeque nunquam legerim. However, that the reader may meet with due satisfaction in this point, I have a young commentator from the university, who is reading over all the modern tragedies at 5 shillings a dozen, and collecting all that they have stole from our author, which shall shortly be added as an appendix to this work. Dramatis Personae.
King Arthur, a passionate sort of king, husband to Queen Dollallolla, of whom he stands a little in fear, father to Huncamunca, whom he is very fond of, and in love with Glumdalca. Read by Todd.
Tom Thumb the Great, a little hero with a great soul, something violent in his temper, which is a little abated by his love for Huncamunca. Read by Matthew Rees.
Ghost of Gaffer Thumb, a whimsical sort of ghost. Read by Andrew Gaunce.
Lord Grizzle, extremely zealous for the liberty of the subject, very choleric in his temper, and in love with Huncamunca. Read by Alan Mapstone.
Merlin, a conjurer, and in some sort father to Tom Thumb. Read by Wayne Cook.
Noodle, courtiers in place, and consequently of that party that is uppermost. Read by Andrew James.
Doodle, courtier in place, and consequently of that party that is uppermost. Read by Adrian Stevens.
Foodle, a courtier that is out of place, and consequently of that party that is undermost. Read by Linda Olsen Freitag.
Bailiff of the party of the plaintiff. Read by Pierre.
Follower of the party of the plaintiff. Read by Thomas Peter.
Parson, of the side of the church. Read by David Purdy.
Queen Dollallolla, wife to King Arthur and mother to Huncamunca, a woman entirely faultless, saving that she is a little given to drink, a little too much a virago towards her husband, and in love with Tom Thumb. Read by Sonia.
The Princess Huncamunca, daughter to their Majesties King Arthur and Queen Dollallolla, of a very sweet, gentle, and amorous disposition, equally in love with Lord Grizzle and Tom Thumb, and desirous to be married to them both. Read by Jen Broda.
Glumdalca, of the giants, a captive queen, beloved by the king but in love with Tom Thumb. Read by Trisha G.
Cleora, maid of honor, in love with Noodle. Read by Devora Allen.
Mustasha, maid of honor, in love with Doodle. Read by Shreya Sethi.
Courtiers, guards, rebels, drums, trumpets, thunder and lightning. Stage directions read by Michael Maggs. Scene: the court of King Arthur and a plain thereabouts. Act 1. Scene 1. The palace. Doodle, noodle.
Sure, such a day as this was never seen. The sun himself on this auspicious day shines like a bow in a new birthday suit. This down the seams embroidered, that the beams. all nature wears one universal grin.
This day, oh Mr. Doodle, is a day, indeed a day we never saw before. The mighty Thomas Thumb victorious comes. Millions of giants crowd his chariot wheels, giants, to whom the giants in Guildhall are infant dwarfs. They frown and foam and roar, while Thumb, regardless of their noise, rides on. So some cock sparrow in a farmer's yard hops at the head of a huge flock of turkeys.
When Goody Thumb first brought this Thomas forth, the genius of our land triumphant reigned. Then, O Arthur, did thy genius reign.
They tell me it is whispered in the books of all our sages that this mighty hero, by Merlin's art begot, hath not a bone within his skin, but is a lump of gristle.
Then 'tis a gristle of no mortal kind. Some god, my noodle, stepped into the place of Gaffer Thumb, and more than half begot this mighty Tom.
Sure, he was sent express from heaven, to be the pillar of our estate. Though small his body be, so very small, a chairman's leg is more than twice as large, yet is his soul like any mountain big, and as a mountain once brought forth a mouse, so doth this mouse contain a mighty mountain.
Mountain indeed, so terrible his name, the giant nurses frighten children with it, and cry, Tom Thumb is come, and if you are naughty, will surely take the child away.
But hark, these trumpets speak the king's approach.
He comes most luckily for my petition.
Flourish. Scene 2. King, Queen, Grizzle, Noodle, Doodle, Foodle.
Let nothing but a face of joy appear. The man who frowns this day shall lose his head, that he may have no face to frown withal. Smile, Dollallolla. Ah, what wrinkled sorrow hangs, sits, lies, frowns upon thy knitted brow? Whence flow those tears fast down thy blubbered cheeks, like swollen gutter, gushing through the streets?
Excess of joy, my lord, I've heard folks say, gives tears as certain as excess of grief.
If it be so, let all men cry for joy, till my whole court be drowned with their tears. Nay, till they overflow my utmost land, and leave me nothing but the sea to rule.
My liege, I a petition have here got.
Petition me no petition, sir, to-day. Let other hours be set apart for business. To-day it is our pleasure to be drunk, and this our queen shall be as drunk as we.
Though I already have seas over am, if the capacious goblet overflow with arrack punch, for George, I'll see it out. Of rum and brandy I'll not taste a drop.
Though rack, in punch, 8 shillings be a quart, and rum and brandy be no more than 6, rather than quarrel, you shall have your will.
Trumpets.
But ha! The warrior comes, the great Tom Thumb, the little hero, giant-killing boy, preserver of my kingdom, is arrived.
Scene 3. Tom Thumb, to them, with officers, prisoners, and attendants.
Oh, welcome, most welcome to my arms! What gratitude can thank away the debt your valour lays upon me?
Queen, aside.
Oh, ye gods!
When I'm not thanked at all, I'm thanked enough. I've done my duty, and I've done no more.
Queen, aside.
Was ever such a godlike creature seen?
Thy modesty's a candle to thy merit. It shines itself, and shows thy merit too. But say, my boy, where didst thou leave the giants?
My liege, without the castle gates they stand, the castle gates too low for their admittance.
What look they like?
Like nothing but themselves.
Queen, aside.
And sure thou art like nothing but thyself.
Enough. The vast idea fills my soul. I see them. Yes, I see them now before me. The monstrous, ugly, barbarous sons of whores. But ha! What form majestic strikes our eyes! So perfect that it seems to have been drawn by all the gods in council. So fair she is, that surely at her birth the council paused, and then at length cried out, "This is a woman."
Then were the gods mistaken. She is not a woman, but a giantess, whom we, with much ado, have made a shift to haul within the town, for she is a foot shorter than all her subject giants were.
We yesterday were both a queen and wife. 100,000 giants owned our sway, 20 whereof were married to ourself.
O happy state of giantism, where husbands like mushrooms grow, while hapless we are forced to be content, nay, happy thought, with one.
But then to lose them all in one black day, that the same sun which, rising, saw me wife to 20 giants, setting, should behold me widowed of them all, my worn-out heart, that ship, leaks fast, and the great heavy lading, my soul, will quickly sink.
Madam, believe I view your sorrows with a woman's eye, but learn to bear them with what strength you may. Tomorrow we will have our grenadiers drawn out before you, and you then shall choose what husbands you think fit.
Madame, I am your most obedient and most humble servant.
Think, mighty princess, think this court your own. Nor think the landlord me, this house my inn. Call for whate'er you will, you'll nothing pay. I feel a sudden pain within my breast, nor know I whether it arise from love, or only the wind colic. Time must shew. O Thumb, what do we to thy valour owe? Ask some reward, great as we can bestow.
I ask not kingdoms, I can conquer those. I ask not money, money I've enough. For what I've done and what I mean to do, for giants slain and giants yet unborn, which I will slay, if this be called a debt, take my receipt in full. I ask but this, to sun myself in Huncamunca's eyes.
Prodigious bold request.
Be still, my soul.
My heart is at the threshold of your mouth, and waits its answer there. Oh, do not frown. I've tried to reason's tune to tune my soul, but love did overwind and crack the string. Though Jove in thunder had cried out, "You shan't," I should have loved her still. For oh, strange fate, then when I loved her least, I loved her most.
It is resolved. The princess is your own.
Oh, happy, 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 happy Thumb.
Consider, sir, reward your soldier's merit, but give not Huncamunca to Tomthumb.
Tomthumb? Odzooks! My wide extended realm knows not a name so glorious as Tomthumb. Let Macedonia Alexander boast, let Rome her Caesars and her Scipios show. Her Messieurs France, let Holland boast Mynheers, Ireland her O's, her Max let Scotland boast. Let England boast no other than Tomthumb.
Though greater yet his boasted merit was, he shall not have my daughter. That is pause.
Ah, sayest thou, Dollallolla?
I say he shan't.
Then by our royal self we swear you lie.
Who but a dog would use me as thou dost, me, who have lain these 20 years so loving by thy side? But I will be revenged. I'll hang myself. Then tremble all who did this match persuade. For riding on a cat, from high I'll fall, and squirt down royal vengeance on you all.
Her Majesty the Queen is in a passion.
Be she, or be she not, I'll to the girl, and pave thy way, O Thumb. Now by herself we were indeed a pretty king of clouts, to truckle to her will. For when by force or art the wife her husband overreaches, give him the petticoat, and her the breeches.
Whisper, ye winds, that Huncamunca's mine. Echoes repeat, that Huncamunca's mine. The dreadful business of war is o'er, and beauty, heavenly beauty, crowns my toils. I've thrown the bloody garment now aside, and hymeneal sweets invite my bride. So when some chimney sweeper all the day hath through dark paths pursued the sooty way, at night to wash his hands and face he flies, and in his t'other shirt with his brickdust allies.
Scene 4. Grizzle, Solus.
Where art thou, Grizzle? Where are now thy glories? Where are the drums that waken thee to honour? Greatness is a laced coat from Monmouth Street, which fortune lends us for a day to wear, tomorrow puts it on another's back. The spiteful sun but yesterday surveyed his rival high as St. Paul's cupola. Now may he see me as Fleet Ditch laid low.
Scene 5. Queen, Grizzle.
Teach me to scold, prodigious-minded Grizzle, mountain of treason, ugly as the devil. Teach this confounded hateful mouth of mine to spout forth words malicious as thyself, words which might shame all Billingsgate to speak.
Far be it from my pride to think my tongue your royal lips can in that art instruct, wherein you excel. But may I ask, without offence, wherefore my queen would scold?
Wherefore? O blood and thunder, haven't you heard what every corner of the court resounds? That little Thumb will be a great man made.
I heard it, I confess, for who, alas, can always stop his ears? But would my teeth by grinding knives had first been set on edge.
Oh, would I had heard at the still noon of night the hallelujah of fire in every street. Odds bobs, I have a mind to hang myself, to think I should a grandmother be made by such a rascal. Sure the king forgets when in a pudding by his mother put, the bastard by a tinker, on a stile was dropped. Oh, good Lord Grizzle, can I bear to see him from a pudding mount the throne? Oh, can my Huncamunca bear to take a pudding's offspring to her arms?
Oh, horror, horror, horror! Cease, my queen. Thy voice, like 20 screech owls, racks my brain.
Then rouse thy spirit. We may yet prevent this hated match.
Ah, we will. Nor fate itself, should it conspire with Tom Thumb, should cause it. I'll swim through seas, I'll ride upon the clouds, I'll dig the earth, I'll blow out every fire, I'll rave, I'll rant, I'll rise, I'll rush, I'll roar. Fierce as the man whom smiling dolphins bore from the prosaic to the poetic shore. I'll tear the scoundrel into 20 pieces.
No! Prevent the match, but hurt him not. For though I would not have him have my daughter, yet can we kill the man that killed the giants?
I tell you, madam, it was all a trick. He made the giants first, and then he killed them, as fox hunters bring foxes to the wood, and then with hounds drive them out again.
How? Have you seen no giants? Are there not now in the yard 10,000 proper giants?
Indeed, I cannot positively tell, but firmly do believe there is not one.
Hence from my sight, thou traitor, hie away! By all my stars, thou envious Tom Thumb! Go, sirrah, go, hie away, hie! Thou art a setting dog. Begone!
Madam, I go. Tom Thumb shall feel the vengeance you have raised. So, when two dogs are fighting in the streets, with a third dog one of the two dogs meets, with angry teeth he bites him to the bone, and this dog smarts for what that dog has done.
Scene 6. Queen Sola.
And whither shall I go? Alack a day! I love Tom Thumb, but must not tell him so. For what's a woman when her virtue's gone? A coat without its lace, wig out of buckle, a stocking with a hole in it. I can't live without my virtue, or without Tom Thumb. Then let me weigh them in two equal scales. In this scale put my virtue, that Tom Thumb. Alas! Tom Thumb is heavier than my virtue. But hold, perhaps I may be left a widow, this match prevented, then Tom Thumb is mine. In that dear hope I will forget my pain. So, when some wench to ToddHW bridewell's sent, with beating hamper and flogging she's content. She hopes in time to ease her present pain, at length is free, and walks the streets again.
End of Act 1. Act 2 of The Life and Death of Tom Thumb the Great by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Act 2, Scene 1, The Street. Bailiff, Follower.
Come on, my trusty follower, come on! This day discharge thy duty, and at night a double mug of beer, and beer shall glad thee. Stand here by me, this way Master Noodle pass.
No more, bailiff. Every word inspires my soul with virtue. Oh, I long to meet the enemy in the street, and nab him, to lay arresting hands upon his back and drag him trembling to the sponging house.
There, when I have him, I will spang upon him. O glorious fourth! By the sun, moon, and stars, I will enjoy it, though it be in forth. Yes, my follower, I will enjoy it.
Enjoy it then some other time, for now our prey approaches.
Let us retire.
Scene 2. Tom Thumb, Noodle, Bailiff, Follower.
Trust me, my Noodle, I am wondrous sick. For, though I love the gentle Huncamunca, yet at the thought of marriage I grow pale. For, oh, but swear thou'lt keep it ever secret. I will unfold a tale will make thee stare.
I swear by lovely Huncamunca's charms.
Then no. My grandmamma hath often said, Tom Thumb, beware of marriage.
Sir, I blush. To think a warrior great in arms as you should be affrighted by his grandmamma. Can an old woman's empty dreams deter the blooming hero from the virgin's arms? Think of the joy that will your soul alarm, when in her fond embraces clasped you lie, whilst on her panting breast, dissolved in bliss, you pour out all Tom Thumb in every kiss.
Oh, Noodle, thou hast fired my eager soul. Spite of my grandmother she shall be mine. I'll hug, caress, I'll eat her up with love. Whole days and nights and years shall be too short for our enjoyment. Every sun shall rise, blushing to see us in our bed together.
Oh, sir, this purpose of your soul pursue.
Oh, sir, I have an action against you.
At whose suit is it?
At your tailor's, sir. Your tailor put this warrant in my hands, and I arrest you, sir, at his commands.
Ha! Dogs! Arrest my friend before my face. Think you Tom Thumb will suffer this disgrace? But let vain cowards threaten by their word. Tom Thumb shall shew his anger by his sword.
Kills bailiff and follower.
Oh, I am slain.
I am murdered also, and to the shades, the dismal shades below, my bailiff's faithful follower, I go.
Go then to hell like rascals as you are,
and give our service to the bailiffs there.
Thus perish all the bailiffs in the land, till debtors at noonday shall walk the streets, and no one fear a bailiff or his writ.
Scene 3. The Princess Huncamunca's apartment. Huncamunca, Cleora, Mustasha.
Give me some music, see that it be sad.
Cupid, ease a lovesick maid, bring thy quiver to her aid, with equal ardour wound the swain, beauty should never sigh in vain. Let him feel the pleasing smart, drive the arrow through his heart. When one you wound, you then destroy. When both you kill with joy.
O Tom Thumb, Tom Thumb, wherefore art thou, Tom Thumb? Why hast thou not been born of royal race? Why had not mighty Bantam been thy father, or else the King of Brentford, old or new?
I am surprised that your highness can give yourself a moment's uneasiness about that little insignificant fellow, Tom Thumb the Great, one properer for a plaything than a husband. Were he my husband, his horns should be as long as his body. If you had fallen in love with a grenadier, I should not have wondered at it. If you had fallen in love with something, but to fall in love with nothing?
Cease, my Mustasha, on thy duty cease. The zephyr, when in flowery vales it plays, is not so soft, so sweet as Thummy's breath. The dove is not so gentle to its mate.
The dove is every bit as proper for a husband. Alas, madam, there's not a beau about the court looks so little like a man. He is a perfect butterfly, a thing without substance, and almost without shadow too.
This rudeness is unseasonable. Desist, or I shall think this railing comes from love. Tom Thumb's a creature of that charming form that no one can abuse unless they love him.
Madam the King.
Scene 4. King Huncamunca.
Let all but Huncamunca leave the room.
Exeunt Cleora and Mustasha.
Daughter, I have observed of late some grief unusual in your countenance. Your eyes, that like two open windows used to shew the lovely beauty of the rooms within, have now two blinds before them. What is the cause? Say, have you not enough of meat and drink? We've given strict orders not to have you stinted.
Alas, my lord, I value not myself, that once I eat 2 fowls and half a pig, small is that praise, but oh, a maid may want what she can neither eat nor drink.
What's that?
Oh, spare my blushes, but I mean a husband.
If that be all, I have provided one, a husband great in arms, whose warlike sword streams with the yellow blood of slaughtered giants, whose name in terra incognita is known, whose valor, wisdom, virtue make a noise great as the kettle-drums of 20 armies.
Whom does my royal father mean?
Tom Thumb.
Is it possible?
Ah, the window blinds are gone. A country dance of joy is in your face. Your eyes spit fire, your cheeks grow red as beef.
Oh, there's a magic music in that sound, enough to turn me into beef indeed. Yes, I will own, since licensed by your word, I'll own Tom Thumb, the cause of all my grief. For him I've sighed, I've wept, I've gnawed my sheets.
Oh, thou shalt gnaw thy tender sheets no more. A husband thou shalt have to mumble now.
Oh, happy sound! Henceforth let no one tell that Huncamunca shall lead apes in hell. Oh, I am overjoyed.
I see thou art. Joy lightens in thy eyes, and thunders from thy brows. Transports, like lightning, dart along thy soul as small shot through a hedge.
Oh, say not small.
This happy news shall on our tongue ride post. Ourselves we bear the happy news to Thumb. Yet think not, daughter, that your powerful charms must still detain the hero from his arms. Various his duty, various his delight, now in his turn to kiss, and now to fight, and now to kiss again. So mighty Jove, when with excessive thundering tired above, comes down to earth and takes a bit, and then flies to his trade of thundering back again.
Scene 5. Grizzle, Huncamunca.
Oh, Huncamunca, Huncamunca, oh! Thy pouting breasts, like kettle drums of brass, beat everlasting loud alarms of joy, and bright as brass they are, and oh, as hard. Oh, Huncamunca, Huncamunca, oh!
Ha! Dost thou know me, princess as I am, that thus of me you dare to make your game?
Oh, Huncamunca, well I know that you a princess are, and a king's daughter too. But love no meanness scorns, nor grandeur fears. Love often lords into the cellar bears, and bids the sturdy porter come upstairs. For what's too high for love, or what's too low? Oh, Huncamunca, Huncamunca, oh!
But, granting all you say of love were true, my love, alas, is to another due. In vain to me a suitoring you come, for I'm already promised to Tom Thumb.
And can my princess such a Durgan wed? One fitter for your pocket than your bed? Advised by me, the worthless baby shun, or you will ne'er be brought to bed of one. Oh, take me to thy arms, and never flinch, who am a man, by Jupiter, every inch. Then while in joys together lost we lie, I'll press thy soul while gods stand wishing by.
If, sir, what you insinuate you prove, all obstacles of promise you remove, for all engagements to a man must fall, whene'er that man is proved no man at all.
Oh, let him seek some dwarf, some fairy miss, where no joint stool must lift him to the kiss. But by the stars and glory, you appear much fitter for a Prussian grenadier. One globe alone on Atlas' shoulders rests, 2 globes are less than Huncamunca's breasts. The Milky Way is not so white, that's flat, and sure thy breasts are full as large as that.
Oh, sir, so strong your eloquence I find, it is impossible to be unkind.
Ah, speak that o'er again, and let the sound from one pole to another pole rebound. The earth and sky each be a battledore, and keep the sound that shuttlecock up an hour. To Doctors' Commons for a licence I, swift as an arrow from a bow will fly.
Oh no, lest some disaster we should meet, 'twere better to be married at the Fleet.
Forbid it, all ye powers, a princess should by that vile place contaminate her blood. My quick return shall to my charmer prove, I travel on the post-horses of love.
Those post-horses to me will seem too slow, though they should fly swift as the gods, when they ride on behind that post-boy, Opportunity.
Scene 6. Tom Thumb, Huncamunca.
Where is my princess? Where's my Huncamunca? Where are those eyes, those card matches of love, that light up all with love my waxen soul? Where is that face which artful nature made in the same moulds where Venus' self was cast?
Oh, what is music to the ear that's deaf, or a goose-pie to him that has no taste? What are these praises now to me, since I am promised to another?
Ha! Promised?
Too sure, 'tis written in the book of fate.
Then I will tear away the leaf wherein it's writ, or, if fate won't allow so large a gap within its journal book, I'll blot it out at least.
Scene 7. Glumdalca, Tom Thumb, Huncamunca.
I need not ask if you are Huncamunca. Your brandy nose proclaims,
I am a princess, nor need I ask who you are.
a giantess, the queen of those who made and unmade queens.
The man whose chief ambition is to be my sweetheart hath destroyed these mighty giants.
Your sweetheart? Dost thou think the man who once hath worn my easy chains will e'er wear thine?
Well, may your chains be easy, since, if fame says true, they have been tried on 20 husbands. The glove or boot, so many times pulled on, may well sit easy on the hand or foot.
I glory in the number, and when I sit poorly down like thee, content with one, heaven change this face for one as bad as thine.
Let me see nearer what this beauty is that captivates the heart of men by scores.
Holds a candle to her face.
Oh, heaven! Thou art as ugly as the devil.
You'd give the best of shoes within your shop to be but half so handsome.
Since you come to that, I'll put my beauty to the test. Tom Thumb, I'm yours, if you with me will go.
Oh, stay, Tom Thumb, and you alone shall fill that bed where 20 giants used to lie.
In the balcony that o'erhangs the stage, I've seen a whore 2 prentices engage. One half a crown does in his fingers hold, the other shews a little piece of gold. She the half-guinea wisely does purloin, and leaves the larger and the baser coin.
Left, scorned, and loathed for such a chit as this! I feel the storm that's rising in my mind. Tempests and whirlwinds rise and roll and roar. I'm all within a hurricane, as if the world's 4 winds were pent within my carcass. Confusion, horror, murder, guts, and death.
Scene 8. King, Glumdalca.
Sure never was so sad a king as I. My life is worn as ragged as a coat a beggar wears. A prince should put it off. To love a captive and a giantess. Oh, love, how great a king art thou! My tongue's thy trumpet, and thou trumpetest unknown to me within me. O Glumdalca, heaven thee designed a giantess to make, but an angelic soul was shuffled in. I am a multitude of walking griefs, and only on her lips the balm is found to spread a plaster that might cure them all.
What do I hear?
What do I see?
Oh!
Ah!
Ah, wretched queen!
Oh, wretched king!
Ah!
Oh!
Scene 9. Tom Thumb, Huncamunca, Parson.
Happy's the wooing that's not long a-doing, for if I guess right, Tom Thumb this night shall give a being to a new Tom Thumb,
It shall be my endeavour so to do.
Oh, fie upon you, sir, you make me blush.
It is the Virgin's sign, and suits you well. I know not where, nor how, nor what I am. I am so transported, I have lost myself.
Forbid it, all ye stars, for you're so small that were you lost, you'd find yourself no more. So the unhappy sempstress once, they say, her needle in a pottle, lost of hay. In vain she looked, and made her moan, for the needle was forever gone.
Long may they live and love and propagate, till the whole land be peopled with Tom Thumbs. So when the Cheshire cheese a maggot breeds, another and another still succeeds. By thousands and 10,000s they increase, till one continued maggot fills the rotten cheese.
Scene 10. Noodle and then Grizzle.
Sure, nature means to break her solid chain, or else affix the world and in a rage to hurl it from its axle-tree and hinges. All things are so confused. The king's in love, the queen is drunk, the princess married is.
Oh, Noodle, hast thou Huncamunca seen?
I have seen 1,000 sights this day, where none are by the wonderful bitch herself outdone. The king, the queen, and all the court are sights.
Damn your delay, you trifler. Are you drunk, huh? I will not hear one word but Huncamunca.
By this time she is married to Tom Thumb.
My Huncamunca.
Your Huncamunca, Tom Thumb's Huncamunca, every man's Huncamunca.
If this be true, all womankind are damned.
If it be not, may I be so myself.
See where she comes. I'll not believe a word against that fate, upon whose ample brow sits innocence with majesty enthroned.
Grizzle, Huncamunca.
Where has my Huncamunca been? See here, the licence in my hand.
Alas, Tom Thumb!
Why dost thou mention him?
Ah me, Tom Thumb.
What means my lovely Huncamunca?
Hum.
Oh, speak.
Hum.
Your every word is hum. You force me still to answer you, Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb, I'm on the rack. I'm in a flame. Tom Thumb, Tom Thumb, Tom Thumb, you love the name. So pleasing is that sound, that were you dumb, you still would find a voice to cry Tom Thumb.
Oh, be not hasty to proclaim my doom. My ample heart for more than one has room. A maid like me, heaven formed at least for two. I married him, and now I'll marry you.
Dost thou own thy falsehood to my face? Think'st thou that I will share thy husband's place? Since to that office one cannot suffice, and since you scorn to dine one single dish on, go get your husband put into commission. Commissioners to discharge, ye gods, it fine is, the duty of a husband to your highness. Yet think not long I will my rival bear, or unrevenged the slighted willow wear. The gloomy brooding tempest now confined within the hollow caverns of my mind, in dreadful whirl shall roll along the coasts, shall thin the land of all the men it boasts, and cram up every chink of hell with ghosts. So have I seen in some dark winter's day a sudden storm rush down the sky's highway, sweep through the streets with terrible ding-dong, gush through the spouts and wash whole crowds along. The crowded shops the thronging vermin screen, together cram the dirty and the clean, and not one shoe-boy in the street is seen.
Oh, fatal rashness! Should his fury slay my helpless bridegroom on his wedding day, I, who this morning of two choose which to wed, may go again this night alone to bed. So have I seen some wild, unsettled fool, who had her choice of this and that joint stool, to give the preference to either loath, and fondly coveting to sit on both, while the two stools her sitting part confound, between 'em both fall squat upon the ground.
End of Act 2. Act 3 of The Life and Death of Tom Thumb the Great by Henry Fielding. This is a Librivox recording. All Librivox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit librivox.org. Act 3, Scene 1, King Arthur's Palace. Ghost, Solace.
Hail, ye black horrors of midnight's mid-noon, ye fairies, goblins, bats, and screech owls, hail! And O ye mortal watchmen, whose hoarse throats the immortal ghosts' dread croakings counterfeit, all hail! Ye dancing phantoms, who by day are some condemned to fast, some feast in fire, now play in churchyards, skipping o'er the graves to the loud music of the silent bell, all hail!
Scene 2, King, Ghost.
What noise is this? What villain dares at this dread hour, with feet and voice profane, disturb our royal walls?
One who defies thy empty power to hurt him, one who dares walk in thy bedchamber.
Presumptuous slave, thou diest.
Threaten others with that word. I am a ghost, and am already dead.
Ye stars, 'tis well. Were thy last hour to come, this moment had been it. Yet by thy shroud I'll pull thee backward, squeeze thee to a bladder, till thou dost groan thy nothingness away.
Ghost retires.
Thou fliest. 'Tis well. I thought what was the courage of a ghost, yet dare not on thy life. Why say I that, since life thou hast not? Dare not walk again within these walls, on pain of the Red Sea. For if henceforth I ever find thee here, as sure as a gun, I'll have thee laid.
Were the Red Sea a sea of Holland's gin, the liquor when alive, whose very smell I did detest, did loathe, yet for the sake of Thomas Thumb I would be laid therein.
Ha? Said you?
Yes, my liege, I said Tom Thumb, whose father's ghost I am, once not unknown to mighty Arthur. But I see 'tis true, the dearest friend, when dead we all forget.
'Tis he. 'Tis the honest Gaffer Thumb. Oh, let me press thee in my eager arms, thou best of ghosts. Thou something more than a ghost.
Would I were something more, that we again might feel each other in the warm embrace. But now I have the advantage of my king, for I feel thee, whilst thou dost not feel me.
But say, thou dearest heir, oh, say what dread important business sends thee back to earth.
Oh, then prepare to hear, which but to hear is full enough to send thy spirit hence. Thy subjects up in arms, by Grizzle led, will, ere the rosy-fingered morn shall ope the shutters of the sky, before the gate of this thy royal palace swarming spread. So have I seen the bees in clusters swarm, so have I seen the stars in frosty nights, so have I seen the sand in windy days, so have I seen the ghosts on Pluto's shore, so have I seen the flowers in spring arise, so have I seen the leaves in autumn fall, so have I seen the fruits in summer smile, so have I seen the snow in winter frown.
Damn all thou hast seen! Dost thou, beneath the shape of Gaffer Tom, come hither to abuse me with similes, to keep me on the rack? Hence, or by all the torments of thy hell, I'll run thee through the body, though thou'st none.
Arthur, beware. I must this moment hence, not frighted by your voice, but by the cocks. Arthur, beware, 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 beware. Strive to avert thy yet impending fate. For if thou art killed today, tomorrow all thy care will come too late.
Scene 3. King Solus.
Oh, stay, and leave me not uncertain thus. And whilst thou tellest me what's like my fate, oh, teach me how I may avert it too. Cursed be the man who first a simile made, cursed every bard who writes. So have I seen those whose comparisons are just and true, and those who liken things not like at all. The devil is happy that the whole creation can furnish out no simile to his fortune.
Scene 4. King, Queen.
What is the cause, my Arthur, that you steal thus silently from Dollalolla's breast? Why dost thou leave me in the dark alone, when well thou know'st I'm afraid of sprites?
Oh, Dollallolla, do not blame my love. I hoped the fumes of last night's punch had laid thy lovely eyelids fast. But oh, I find there is no power in drams to quiet wives. Each morn as the returning sun they wake and shine upon their husbands.
Think, oh think, what a surprise it must be to the sun, rising, to find the vanished world away. What less can be the wretched wife's surprise, when stretching out her arms to fold thee fast, she found her useless bolster in her arms. Think on that. Oh, think well on that. I do remember also to have read in Dryden's Ovid's Metamorphoses that Jove in form inanimate did lie with beauteous Danae. And trust me, love, I feared the bolster might have been a Jove.
Come to my arms, most virtuous of thy sex. O Dollallolla, were all wives like thee, so many husbands never had worn horns. Should Huncamunca of thy worth partake, Tomthumb indeed were blessed. O fatal name, for didst thou know 1/4 what I know, then wouldst thou know, alas, what thou wouldst know.
What can I gather hence? Why dost thou speak like men who carry raree shows about? Now you shall see, gentlemen, what you shall see. Oh, tell me more, or hast thou told too much?
Scene 5. King, Queen, Noodle.
Long life attend your majesty serene, great Arthur King and Dollallolla Queen. Lord Grizzle, with a bold rebellious crowd, advances to the palace threatening loud, unless the princess be delivered straight, and the victorious Thumb without his pate, they are resolved to batter down the gate.
Scene 6. King, Queen, Huncamunca, Noodle.
See where the princess comes? Where is Tomthumb?
Oh, sir, about an hour and a half ago he sallied out to encounter with his foe, and swore unless his fate had him misled, from Grizzle's shoulders to cut off his head, and served up with your chocolate in bed.
'Tis well, I found one devil told us both. Come, Dollallolla, Huncamunca, come. Within we'll wait for the victorious Thumb. In peace and safety we secure may stay, while to his arm we trust the bloody fray. Though men and giants should conspire with gods, he is alone equal to all these odds.
He is indeed a helmet to us all. While he supports, we need not fear to fall. His arm dispatches all things to our wish, and serves up every foe's head in a dish. Void is the mistress of the house of care, while the good cook presents the bill of fare. Whether the cod, that northern king of fish, or duck, or goose, or pig adorn the dish, no fears the number of her guests afford, but at her hour she sees the dinner on the board.
Scene 7. Plain. Grizzle, Foodle, Rebels.
Thus far our arms with victory are crowned. For though we have not fought, yet we have found no enemy to fight withal.
Yet I, methinks, would willingly avoid this day, this 1st of April, to engage our foes.
This day, for all the days of the year, I choose, for on this day my grandmother was born. Gods, I will make Tom Thumb an April fool, will teach his wit an errand it ne'er knew, and send it post to the Elysian shades.
I'm glad to find our army is so stout, nor does it move my wonder less than joy.
What friends we have, and how we came so strong, I'll softly tell you as we march along.
Scene 8. Thunder and Lightning. Tom Thumb, Glumdalca, cum suis.
O Noodle, hast thou seen a day like this? The unborn thunder rumbles o'er our heads, as if the gods meant to unhinge the world, and heaven and earth in wild confusion hurl. Yet will I boldly tread the tottering ball.
Tom Thumb.
What voice is this I hear?
Tom Thumb.
Again it calls.
Tom Thumb.
It calls again.
Appear, whoe'er thou art, I fear thee not.
Thou hast no cause to fear, I'm thy friend, Merlin by name, a conjurer by trade, and to my art thou dost thy being owe.
How?
Hear then the mysticating of Tom Thumb. His father was a ploughman plain, his mother milked the cow, and yet the way to get a son this couple knew not how, until such time the good old man to learned Merlin goes, and there to him in great distress in a secret manner shows how in his heart he wished to have a child in time to come to be his heir, though it may be no bigger than his thumb, of which old Merlin was foretold that he his wish should have, and so a son of stature small the charmer to him gave. Thou'st heard the past, look up and see the future.
Lost in amazement's gulf, my senses sink. See there, Glumdalca, see another me.
Oh, sight of horror! See, you are devoured by the expanded jaws of a red cow.
Let not these sights deter thy noble mind, fellow. A sight more glorious courts thy eyes. See, from afar a theatre arise. Their ages yet unborn shall pay tribute to the heroic actions of this day. Then bursting tragedy at length shall choose thy name, the best supporter of her muse.
Enough. Let every warlike music sound. We fall contented, if we fall renowned.
Scene 9. Lord Grizzle, feudal rebels on one side, Tom Thumb, Glumdalca on the other.
At length the enemy advances nigh. I hear them with my ear, and see them with my eye.
Draw all your swords, for liberty we fight, and liberty the mustard is of life.
Are you the man whom men famed Grizzle name?
Are you the much more famed Tom Thumb?
The same.
Come on, our worth upon ourselves we'll prove, for liberty I fight.
And I for love.
A bloody engagement between the two armies here, drums beating, trumpets sounding, thunder and lightning. They fight off and on several times. Some fall. Grizzle and Glumdalca remain.
Turn, coward, turn, nor from a woman fly.
Away, thou'rt too ignoble for my arm.
Have at thy heart.
Nay, then I thrust at thine.
You push too well. You've run me through the guts, and I am dead.
Then there's an end to one.
When thou art dead, then there's an end of two, villain.
Tom Thumb.
Rebel.
Tom Thumb.
Hell.
Huncamunca.
Thou hast it there.
Too sure I feel it.
To hell, then, like a rebel as you are, and give my service to the rebels there.
Triumph not, Thumb, nor think thou shalt enjoy thy Huncamunca undisturbed. I'll send my ghost to fetch her to the other world. It shall but bait at heaven and then return. But, I feel death rumbling in my brains. Some kinder sprite knocks softly at my soul, and gently whispers it to haste away. I come, most willingly I come. So when some city wife a country air to Hampstead or to Highgate doth repair, her to make haste her husband does implore, and cries, my dear, the coach is at the door. With equal wish, desirous to be gone, she gets into the coach, and then she cries, drive on.
With those last words he vomited his soul, which, like whipped cream, the devil will swallow down. Bear off the body, and cut off the head, which I will to the king in triumph lug. Rebellion's dead, and now I'll go to breakfast.
Scene 10. King, Queen, Huncamunca, courtiers.
Open the prisons, set the wretched free, and bid our treasurer disburse £6 to pay their debts. Let no one weep today. Come, Dollallolla. Curse that odious name. It is so long, it asks for an hour to speak it. By heavens, I'll change it into Doll, or Loll, or any other civil monosyllable that will not tire my tongue. Come, sit thee down. Here seated let us view the dancers' sports. Bid them advance. This is the wedding day of Princess Huncamunca and Tom Thumb. Tom Thumb, who wins 2 victories today, and this way marches, bearing Grizzle's head.
A dance here.
Oh, monstrous, dreadful, terrible, oh. Deaf be my ears, for ever blinds my eyes. Dumb be my tongue, feet lame, all senses lost. Howl wolves, grunt bears, hiss snakes, shriek all ye ghosts.
What does the blockhead mean?
I mean, my liege, only to grasp my tail with decent horror. Whilst by my garret twice 2 stories high, I looked and prod into the streets below. I saw Tom Thumb attended by the mob. Twice 20 shoeboys, twice 2 dozen legs, chairmen and porters, hackney coach, men, horse. Aloft he bore the grisly head of Grizzle. When of a sudden through the streets there came a cow of larger than usual size, and in a moment, guess the rest, as in a moment swallowed up Tom Thumb.
Shut up again the prisons. Bid my treasurer not give 3 farthings out. Hang all the culprits, guilty or not, no matter. Ravish virgins, go bid the schoolmasters whip all their boys. Let lawyers, parsons, and physicians loose, to rob, impose on, and kill the world.
Her Majesty the Queen is in a swoon.
Not so much in a swoon, but I have still strength to reward the messenger of ill news.
Kills Noodle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My lover's killed. I will revenge him. So.
Kills the Queen.
Oh, my mamma killed. Vile murderess, beware.
Kills Cleora.
This for an old grudge to thy heart.
Kills Huncamunca.
And this? I drive to thine, O Doodle, for a new one.
Kills Doodle.
Ah, murderous vile, take that.
Kills Mustafa.
And take thou this.
Kills himself and falls.
Oh, so when the child, whom nurse from danger guards, sends Jack for mustard with a pack of cards, kings, queens, and knaves throw one another down, till the whole pack lies scattered and o'erthrown. So all our pack upon the floor is cast, and all I boast is, that I fall the last.
Dies. End of Act 3. End of The Life and Death of Tom Thumb the Great by Henry Fielding.